I've got some names on this piece of paper, people to whom I wish to refer. The first, of course, is Julian Assange himself, a journalist, a courageous shiner of light into the dark places from which the powers that be would dearly like to have us turn away. Julian Assange, a name to be carved with pride into any monument to human progress. Julian is why we are here today, but this is no parochial project. We are today part of a global movement that might be the beginning of the global enlightenment that this fragile planet so desperately needs. Second name, sent to me by my good friend Vijay Prashad. I was just talking to Tariq Ali down here, who's also a good friend of Vijay's. Anyway, this is a young man none of us know. His name is, I suspect, his name is Amir Aziz, and he is a young poet and activist in Delhi. He's involved in the fight against Modi and his fascist, racist citizenship law. I'll read a little bit of one of his poems. Amir says, "Everything will be remembered. Kill us, we will become ghosts and write of your killings, with all the evidence. You write jokes in court, we will write justice on the walls. We will speak so loudly that even the deaf will hear. We will write so clearly that even the blind will read. You write injustice on the earth. We will write revolution in the sky." I think this kid's got a future. This outpouring of the human spirit from India is taking place in a time of revolt, when the fetters of propriety are set aside. Thank you so much. Christ, it looks like it's going to bite my nose. As we meet here in London, across the Atlantic in Argentina, thousands of women are taking to the streets to demand the legalization of abortion from President Fernandez. More power to them. It's not just Argentina. This last year, we've seen major protests erupt across the whole world against the neoliberal fascist regimes. In Chile, in the Lebanon, Colombia, Ecuador, Haiti, France, and now, of course, also in Bolivia, fighting the new US-imposed military dictatorship there. When will we see the name of England appended to that noble list? I sense the scratching of heads in drawing rooms across the home counties. What's he talking about? The man's a bloody pinko pervert, bloody anti-Semite. What's he talking about? We don't live in a dictatorship. This is a free country, a democracy with all the finest traditions of fair play. Well, I've got news for you, disgruntled of Tunbridge Wells. We like to think this is a free country, but are we really free? Why? When Julian Assange is brought to the dock in the tiny magistrate's court inside Belmarsh prison, there are so many seats occupied by anonymous American suits, whispering instructions into the attentive ear of the prosecution's lead barrister, James Lewis, QC. Why? Because we don't live in a free country. We live in a glorified dog kennel. And we bark and or wag our tails at the bidding of our lords and masters across the pond. What? Well, hang on, I've only just started. I stand here today in front of the Mother of Parliaments, and there she stands, blushing in all her embarrassment. And just upstream from here is, anyway, there's all kinds of stuff about Runnymede and Magna Carta and habeas corpus and blah, 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 blah. And then the next page starts off. We do, however, have an extradition treaty with the USA in the first paragraph of Article 4, blah, 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 extradition, blah, 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 political act, blah, 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 blah. Okay, this bit's more entertaining. Yesterday, in front of Battersea Power Station with my pig, I did a tea interview for Sky News to promote this event. There was no visual link, so my only contact with the lady asking me questions was via an earbud on a curly wire. I learned something about telling truth in the phrasing of her questions to me. She came at me like some crazed Don Quixote, every question laced thick with the smears and innuendo and the false accusations with which the powers that be have been trying to blacken Julian Assange's name. She rattled off the tired but well-prepared narrative and then interrupted constantly when I made reply. I don't know who she is. She may mean well. If she does, my advice to her would be to stop drinking the Kool-Aid, and if she actually gives a fig for her chosen profession, get her sorry ass down here and join us. I've nearly finished. England. I call upon our Prime Minister, Boris Johnson, to declare his colours. Does he support the spirit of Magna Carta? Democracy, freedom, fair play, free speech, and especially the freedom of the press? If the answer to these questions is yes, then come on, Prime Minister! Be the British bulldog that you would have us all believe you are. Stand up to the bluster of American hegemony. Call off this show trial, this charade, this kangaroo court. The evidence before the court is incontrovertible. Julian Assange is an innocent man. Okay, I've nearly done. Blah, 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 blah. I cannot leave this stage without mention of Chelsea Manning, who provided some of the material that Julian published. Chelsea has been in a federal prison for a year, incarcerated by the Americans for refusing on principle to give evidence to a grand jury specifically convened to make an example of Julian Assange. What courage. They're also fining her $1,000 a day. Chelsea, from across the pond, yours is another name to be carved in pride. I've been reading the latest on your case and it looks as if your legal team blah 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 blah. True hero. One more. Also Daniel Hale. Daniel is a whistleblower you may not know of yet. He was in a great documentary movie, National Bird, Sonia Kennebrecht, blah blah blah. Daniels is another name to be carved in pride. Those of us who have never compromised our liberty in the cause of freedom, who have never picked up the burning torch and held it trembling over the crimes of their superior officers, can only wonder at the extraordinary courage of those who have. And when the lackeys of the American empire come to take him, to destroy him, and hang him in the hedge as a warning to frighten future journalists, we will look them in the eye and steadfast, with one voice, we will intone, "Over our dead bodies!"